there, and welcome back to the final video in the 9 story mode series of the Story Selling Philosophy, which of course my book Shift and Disrupt, Stop Selling Widgets, Start Selling Wisdom is based upon. And we've looked at the internal stories, we've looked at the external stories, and now we're looking at the essential stories. So these ones, the stories you tell yourself about the buyer, the external, the stories you tell your buyer, and the essential stories are the stories you must elicit from your buyer. So we have looked at expanding our expansion stories and really leading the conversation. We've looked at perspective and really understanding what the buyer's stories are from their perspective at a deeper level. And now what we're going to do is we're going to finish up with a final story, which is based on decision. And this is all around landing the business. So when we think about a typical sales conversation, or we have a conversation amongst ourselves about understanding the decision-making process, we typically come up with the same types of questions. I mean, I have been coaching, mentoring, facilitating, working with sales teams for years now, and it is the same questions that come up all the time. So, who is responsible for making the decision? What is the decision-making process in this business? Who else apart from yourself is responsible for making decisions? So, they're baseline, okay? So yes, you do need to know those, but I want to take this conversation. I want to have the decision-based stories, the essential stories that you need to elicit from your buyer. I want to take them to a different level. If we consider for a moment that sales or decision-making, it's really, we are in the business of agreement. Okay, so we need agreement from both parties to move and advance the sale forward. And so there are different ways that people make decisions. And once again, this is based on my coach approach. It's based on neurolinguistics. It's based upon, not playing in the shallows, but diving a little bit deeper. And if you consider for a moment that there are 2 ways of thinking and behaving, one is a very expansive way, very open way. The other is a very contracted way. It's kind of more closed off. And so we need to understand that our buyers, how they process information is at a deeper level as well. And I just want to share with you, kind of like 5 just different elements of decision-making from a subconscious or a subconscious perspective. So people make decisions based not just on what's happening right now today, but they make decisions based about historical, how they've made decisions in the past. And perhaps, they may have made a wrong decision or a hasty decision, or maybe they made a right decision and made themselves look good. And then they look at things from the future. What if I make this decision? How's that going to impact me in the future? What's the risk? So there's this whole timeline that decision-making it plays a part in. Also, it's big picture versus detail. There will be some people that make decisions based on, the big picture and what that looks like from a strategic perspective or a big picture viewpoint, visionary type. And then there's others that are making decisions from, the tiniest little details. And we know what those people are like. Finance people, for example, legal people, dotting the T's and crossing the I's. So understanding, that whole picture, big picture to small people picture. Some people are very possibility focused. Think about early adopters. So we all know the bell curve. Why do some people go out and buy the best and greatest and newest thing, and yet other people are still hanging on to their Nokia flip phones? Like, what is that all about? So understanding how people make decisions from that perspective. Do people make decisions from an internal perspective or external? Like, I need to know, my decision, I'm really good with my decision. Thank you very much. I'm not going to listen to anybody else. I'm making my decision. myself don't need anybody else's approval or input. Other people, it's like, hey, what do you think about that? What do you think about this? You know, so where do you sit in that? What about your buyers? And are your buyers process people? Do you need to make sure you cover off different process points along the way? Or are they happy just having it done? So I really want you to understand that from an essential story-seeking perspective, you've got to take your questions to a deeper level. Do you have to cover the whole gambit? Absolutely not. But these are just little tools in your toolkit. You know, these are part of the Swiss Army knife, like the sales, my equivalent of the sales Swiss Army knife, it's the sales Army knife. It's like, what are some of these tools hanging off this Swiss sales Army knife? One of them is neurolinguistics. Another one is coaching. And so we really need to understand the metadata, like what goes on behind people making decisions. And when you can listen for that, and you can hear things, and you can see things and feel things, you'll know which way to go if you've got the tools. So I'm just going to suggest to you that you take your blinkers off when it comes to things like, so what's your decision-making process, or who else is involved in the decision? Nothing wrong with those, but just go a little further. Once again, this is complex problem solving, it's critical thinking, it's creativity, and it's courage. So have a think about that. And if you do want to know a little bit more about how to elicit decision-making strategies from your buyer, then definitely go to www.shiftanddisrupt.com. Register for the release of my new book. If it's already been and gone, it's still register. You'll still get access to all the goodies. I want you to follow me on LinkedIn, and I want you to subscribe to my YouTube channel at The Story Seller. So this concludes the video series of the 9 story modes of the story selling philosophy. I hope you've gained some amazing insights from this. I truly hope that you start to shift and disrupt your own thinking so that you can begin to shift and disrupt your buyer's thinking, because I'm telling you now, that's what they want you to do for them. So on that note, have an amazing day. I look forward to hanging out with you soon and sharing even more nuggets of inspiration about how you can dominate your market, be seen differently out there in an ocean of obscurity, and definitely being seen as the #1 pick by your buyers. On that note, have an amazing day. Bye.